dans un pays.
Wow, that was a frightening experience. The Nords should really consider burning their dead. Although granted it would make opening urns a lot more harrowing. Oh, I'm fine. Don't worry, that's not blood on my face, it's makeup. No, I'm sorry, war paint. Doesn't help much in actual war though, but you did great. That's why you get first shot at rubbing these graves. You must not be a very good adventurer then, but you'd make an excellent priest. They just steal from the living. The name's Rumarin, professional adventurer, bladebinder, and grave robber. Oh, I have a friend who works the stables at Windhelm. That's where I'm staying for the time being. I normally travel alone, but that's because I'm insufferable. If by chance you're willing to overlook that, I might make for a good companion. It's right there in the word. I summon and bind blades and weapons from oblivion. I was always good with a sword and bow and always too lazy to carry them. Learning how to conjure the weapons I need solved that dilemma. That's always been my strategy for brawls. The problem is, I never have enough companions to make it worthwhile. Ever seen an elf juggle 3 axes while conjuring a 4th? Tie a cherry stem into a knot with their tongue? Now that's magic. Now, if you mean spells and things, that I'm afraid requires more than being born with your ears pointed skyward. That requires, studying. Well, for starters, traveling light makes it easy to flee. Not that I would advocate running from a fight. No, best to back away slowly until your friends intervene. Well, there's the problem. I have skill, not strength. I have speed, but no stamina. I mean, look at me. I'm rather delicate. I'm surprised I can lift anything at all. No, I can't compare to them. Unless by illusion you mean hiding a dagger in my sleeve. Not unless by alteration you mean covering my nose around beggars, or by destruction you mean what time does to love. I consider myself more of a blacksmith. Oblivion is my forge, and conjuration my hammer. Not quite. These are actually a cheap imitation, woven and enchanted to look like their more esteemed counterpart. The point is to convince naive patrons the enchantments were performed by a master. They are not. Well, consider the fact that bandits are twice as naive as the average customer looks. Thus, one ruse leads to another. Not that these robes are only good for conjuring a story. The enchantment is far from spectacular, but on occasion it does help me conserve magically. Unfortunately, I'm not familiar with bound armor spells, and I've yet to find a book on the subject in my travels across Skyrim. Well, I was going to go for something more subtle, like a wyvern mounting a cliff racer, but I thought that people might misinterpret the analogy. And besides, there wasn't enough room on my groin to begin with, so I decided to paint my face instead. A dash under the eyes helps with the glare. So does a hood. Well, in some parts of Tamriel, war paint is seen as a tribal mark for warriors. In others, it can be a family crest, an artistic splash, or just too much makeup. Of course, excessive makeup is traditionally a sign you will service wealthy nobles for gold. And before you ask, my price is 100 septims and no kissing on the mouth. Okay, maybe once or twice, but no tongue. Oh, but I do. Males, females, beasts, goats, the list goes on and on. Although I confess I don't like billies. You're not a billy, are you? Well, if you are, I'd still do it, but it's going to cost extra. Good. Skyrim could use more of it. Humor and sense. I do. They're tall, punctual, and have good posture. Oh, I know, but I learned that discussing politics and religion is an exercise in futility. I'll just evade the question, thank you, and focus on more agreeable questions, like the weather, the temperature, and the local food. Just try and disagree with me on the weather. See? You can't. Alright then. Yes? You lead, I'll follow. Wow, did you read my mind? Or was it my facial expression? I call this one bemused. In any case, I do have a quarrel. It's just that since you've joined the companions, I feel like you'll be spending more time here. Well, as much as I enjoy sleeping, frolicking, and eating all day, I'm wondering if we can do something about the menu. It's a bit heavy on the meat, don't you think? Last time I checked, the companions didn't sign a green pact. Good, I'm glad we're on the same page. The problem is getting the others to comply. We'll need to split up and work on each companion individually. I'll talk to Ria, and you talk to everyone else. That may seem unfair, but there's no other way. The rest of them scare me. As is Alduin's stomach. You actually did him a favor, because from what I hear, this world is rotten to the core. But would that make the world a fruit, and mortals its slimy pulp? I mean, I'm skinny and yellow, but telling you that doesn't make me a banana. I could just be insane. No wonder I've been stuffing coins up my nose. Admit it, you love my childish antics. Can you imagine how dreadful life would be if you had to wake up every morning next to a humorless sod? If you're curious, you can ask me, because I know. I'm good friends with one. No, really, you're wonderful. Savior of Skyrim and all that. You might want to stop with the insults, though. Not everyone finds them attractive. I am. I'm a very picky person, and it's very hard to find a Nord beverage that suits my palate. Honey Brew was that drink. I just don't get why Maven doesn't rebrand it as something else. Well, how about Blackbriar Golden? You change the name, keep the taste. Maybe it's not too late. I can see it now. Maven says, "Sorry I ruined your business, Sabjorn, but your mead was just too tasty." And Sabjorn would say, "Is that the reason? I thought you just didn't like me. Why didn't you say so sooner?" And Maven would be like, "I don't know. No hard feelings then?" And then they would laugh and share a sweet roll. Maybe now while the wound is fresh, but give him some time behind bars and he'll come around. For now, you can suggest to Maven she's in a good position to bargain with Sabjorn, and remind her how popular Honningbrew is with the elves. I don't know if that's true, by the way, but it sounds like it would be. Yes, I have one. This Olivia Merrinan character you met in Winterhold. Is it true what she says? You know, the bit about students not failing so much as instructors failing to teach them. I mean, maybe it isn't my fault I can't cast a spell. Maybe it's the fault of the wizards who write those blasted spell tomes. Oh, I never miss an opportunity to attribute my failings to others. Just the other day, I was questioning my ability to lead when I realized how much easier it is to follow you instead. See? All your fault. As am I. I do prefer being alive as opposed to that other thing. I say we scour the halls of the Arcanium in Winterhold. There must be a book there somewhere I can understand. let's see what we can find here. To use fire, one must ignite the ethereal flint through the synchronistic channeling of... Oh, rubbish! This won't do it all. Next book.
Need something?
Ooh, this book has pictures. It seems easy enough, and it's a children's story on mud crabs. What sort of library is this? I think it's time we had a word with the librarian regarding quality control. Excuse me. Yes, you, Orc. Do you have any spells?
Greetings, Archmage.
Special mages?
You need to not bother me.
Wow, that was a frightening experience. The Nords should really consider burning their dead. Although granted, it would make opening urns a lot more harrowing. Well, if I was a coward, the last place I'd be is out here. Although I do my best to avoid combat whenever necessary. For instance, that treasure over there? All yours. Those bones won't be needing it. Yes, it's almost rather adorable the way they think they can still spend it. And even if they could, what would they spend it on? Traps, probably. Although I imagine the only thing a skeleton fears are dogs. The name's Rumarin, professional adventurer, bladebinder, and grave robber. Well, that went about as poorly as one could expect. I need to make a mental note. Orcs are surly. This is probably not the best place for me to learn anyway. Winterhold is a traditional institution. We need to find a place that's the opposite of that, like a college built by sewer mages. Okay, maybe not mages that actually live in sewers. That would mean we'd have to actually go in one, and I just washed this robe. What I meant is mages who had sort of an unorthodox education. Do you know anyone like that? Well, at least we won't have to go very far. As is Alduin's stomach. You actually did him a favor, because from what I hear, this world is rotten to the core. But would that make the world a fruit, and mortals its slimy pulp? I mean, I'm skinny and yellow, but telling you that doesn't make me a banana. I could just be insane. No wonder I've been stuffing coins up my nose. Admit it, you love my childish antics. Can you imagine how dreadful life would be if you had to wake up every morning next to a humorless sod? If you're curious, you can ask me, because I know. I'm good friends with one. No, really, you're wonderful. Savior of Skyrim and all that. You might want to stop with the insults, though. Not everyone finds them attractive. Not quite. These are actually a cheap imitation, woven and enchanted to look like their more esteemed counterpart. The point is to convince naive patrons the enchantments were performed by a master. They are not. Well, consider the fact that bandits are twice as naive as the average customer looks. Thus, one ruse leads to another. Not that these robes are only good for conjuring a story. The enchantment is far from spectacular, but on occasion it does help me conserve magicka. Unfortunately, I'm not familiar with bound armor spells, and I've yet to find a book on the subject in my travels across Skyrim. It's right there in the word. I summon and bind blades and weapons from oblivion. I was always good with the sword and bow and always too lazy to carry them. Learning how to conjure the weapons I need solved that dilemma. That's where the knife ears come in handy. Or was it crocodile lips? Toad skin? I can never forget these infernal nicknames the humans give us. What I'm trying to say is that high elves are born with an affinity for magic. A head start, if you will, in the skill of hand-waggling. No, I can't compare to them, unless by illusion you mean hiding a dagger in my sleeve. Not unless by alteration you mean covering my nose around beggars, or by destruction you mean what time does to love. I consider myself more of a blacksmith. Oblivion is my forge and conjuration my hammer. I do. They're tall, punctual, and have good posture. Oh, I know, but I learned that discussing politics and religion is an exercise in futility. I'll just evade the question, thank you, and focus on more agreeable questions, like the weather, the temperature, and the local food. Just try and disagree with me on the weather. See? You can't. Let's go.
Oh, you must be the new assistant I've been asking for. I take it you've agreed to the terms.
I think you have the wrong person. I'm just here to learn a spell.
Then I think I have precisely the right person. I teach you some magic, you let me replace your brain with Dwemer gears and wheels powered by rodents.
Well, that doesn't sound too bad. Wait a minute, what kind of rodent?
I was thinking a hamster.
Absolutely not. Come on, let's go. This is obviously not the sort of mage, and I use the term loosely, that can help.
Hello, my love.
Where did the egg go? What was inside? Oh, there was a great rumble outside this morning. Did you feel it? Surely it must have been a giant riding a carriage, or a flying ship. Yes, but that's far too ordinary. Maybe not yesterday, but now, very much so. Unless it was a water dragon, a dragonfish whose breath was steam. Of course, it's more fish than dragon, and more bug than fish. It feasts on wood and its diet consists solely of mortal-made ships. Strange. Master Drevis and Tolfdir also use that word. I don't like to think I'm imagining things. I like to think it's all undiscovered. Oh, all the time. Especially at the college where magical energy is strong. Floating objects like books, soul gems, and silverware for one. You really have to watch where you're going or you might run your eye into a fork. Then there's the multiplying fruit. Master Drevis thinks the several hundred apples he found in his pillow was a prank. I think it was a rare form of spontaneous cloning. Clearly some type of plant-based magic, like an evolved form of alchemy. Of course, I bet in places like Valenward there are all sorts of carnivorous plants that use magic to capture their prey. Like a plant with invisible fangs on its fronds, trapping birds and insects who stop to rest their weary wings. Or how about a talking plant who uses magic to mimic speech? A stamen is almost like a tongue. Then you get real close and the fangs chomp you. That is, if the mud monsters don't get you first. Plants must have some version of the undead, raised from the ground by magical spores and such. Oh, plenty. Although they all sort of relate to magic in one way or another. For instance, I was trying to build a more secure coin purse by trapping your gold inside a soul gem.
Skyrim just to get away from my family's expectations.
Oh, yes. It was a bit tricky getting the conjuration trap to recognize inanimate objects as souls, but a dash of blood and harmonizing the resonance did it. The problem was getting the gold out. I tried enchanting a couple of wooden coins using the gem, but they lost the imperial markings. You don't kill the coin, but the purse, and that's already dead. The coins inside are what mimic the properties of a soul. As long as the harmonic resonance is stable while they take flight, the trap will secure the coins into a soul gem. The trapping part's all rather elementary once you get the hang of it. Oh, yes, which gives me another idea. Hanging bear traps would work much better than bone chimes. You'd need an invisibility spell to cloak them. The problem is the weight. Spells are transient, and the steed stone won't work on a thread. Frostbite spider webbing, maybe. Probably too difficult to harvest. What if we abandoned using gossamer altogether, but instead gave the traps wings? Is Arniel still around? He's the expert on dwarven magic.
The helm is returned.
The field of unknown and undiscovered magic. It seems odd that there are only 5 schools. There should be at least 500. How else can you explain all the magical phenomena in this world? Doomstones, alchemy, and dragon shells, for instance. Those can't be categorized by any of the 5 schools. But Magnus's imprint is everywhere. Some say it was he, not Lorcan, who made the world. His departure made the sun, and when plants use it to grow, they use magic. All the energy on Mundus is related to Magnus in some form. Until next time.
Good to see you.
Should we get moving? You know what they say, second time's the charm. Or was it the third time? Does that mean this next one will be a failure too? Of course he can. And if he can't, well, it'll be his fault. I like Olivia's way of thinking. All right, then.
A calm spirit provides the best counsel. I myself learned how to better close wounds by reading tales like that of Princess Talara. Still, knowledge of the spell itself always goes by tone. Rumarin, I'm sorry. Books offer hints at how to improve at restoration, but it would take a 50-volume epic to teach you even the simplest spells. The tome is still the best way to learn. My advice is to just keep at it. Don't rush. It'll come eventually.
So you're saying I need to work hard and study to achieve my goals, but what if that goes against everything I stand for?
And I'm afraid I can't help you.
Yes? This mage has to be the one. I mean, it's not as if I'm some one-trick bladebinder wearing imitation robes. That would be a shocking twist. Oh yes, your egomaniacal corpse friend. Somehow I don't think this is going to be entirely painless. Let's go.
I like living here. The lake is so pretty.
What is it, mortal? No, I can no more teach this worm magic than I can teach water to burn. If he cannot grasp a simple spell tome, then he does not deserve the power that lies within. Your quest is a pointless one. Your companion hopes to improve his prowess in combat. What he does not realize is that he has reached the pinnacle of his pathetic existence. All that is left is the slow, inexorable decay.
Yes? No. It's almost as if I don't have the talent to be anything more than a blade binder. But that would mean I'm not perfect. A stunning revelation. I never saw it coming. We could try one last thing. Otero once said if you want to learn to juggle swords, it does no good to practice with wooden ones. This is going to sound crazy, but maybe if you pummeled me with a spell, my survival instinct will kick in and I'll fashion a ward. Well, I don't want you to actually hit me. I just want you to aim near my feet. You can do that, right? You mean do two things at the same time? And fashion a ward? It's almost like juggling. And I'm only half terrible at that. Let's do this. Right, I'll just stand here, and you start hitting the ground with spells and such. Wait, hold on. Maybe you don't have to actually use a spell. What if I just imagined you were casting them? Like, I close my eyes and picture the fireball coming at me. It's almost here, and now I'm casting my ward and... Yes! I've deflected it. With so much force it seems, the fireball is now shooting off into the sky. It is literally burning a hole in Aetherius. Oh, now it's actually circling around Massa and hurtling back toward... It looks like that's Roriksid. Oh, that poor goat. So much carnage.
Out with it, fool.
Gah! You hit me! I can't believe it! The pain! So much pain! And wait a minute, I felt something else as well. In my hand. I think I did it. I mean, it was smaller than a juniper berry, but I actually felt the ward coming out of my hand. It worked. I think it was a lesser ward, although you can't really call it that. Maybe a lesser than lesser ward, or the least ward, but still a ward. Look, 2 minutes is a perfectly acceptable amount of time for someone of my age and stature. Besides, I was distracted the last time. Wait, what were we talking about again? Perhaps. The real question is, do I want to? After what we just went through to learn this one, I'd say the answer is a resounding no. Look, I'm grateful for everything you've done. It's not the gift so much as the thought. Keep that in mind when I give you this paltry reward. Oh, and next time I get any bright ideas, just ignore me. But thanks for listening this one time. That amulet, is that what I think it is? Are we... I should just shut up right now and let you speak.